Welcome into episode 64. My apologies, of JD's Empire Sports Talk. Biggie will be here tonight, but not yet. In a little while, hopefully. But I will take care of the beginning of the show, baseball, NFL, and then by the time we get to college ball, he should be here. If not, we'll just power through, and we'll keep talking about all the good things that happened this past weekend because the NFL is back in full swing. We had games Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and of course Monday night. So it's 4 out of the last 5 days up until today. We had some at least one game of NFL football on our screens, and it was fun. It was very, very fun to see the NFL back. College football in full swing now, 2 weeks in. You can tell 3 weeks technically because week zero, but for most teams, 2 games they've played. Some teams have buys, so they only played one. But the teams that have played 2 games seems like we're early on. We're starting to tell who is for real and who is not for real, which is something that usually takes a little longer, but I think this year, like last year, you can tell kind of right away. There's going to be a few teams that aren't come out of nowhere, but the top of the rankings, which we'll get into later as well, seems like those teams are showing up and they're showing out so far. So we'll see what the rest of college, like this week entails because it's going to be another big week. Some more big matchups, just like week one. We have three ranked matchups this weekend. Last weekend we only had one. That was a good game, but that was the only really high profile, game where those upper ranked teams kind of took a day off, if you want to say, just so they can regroup and stuff like that. Maybe they didn't play too well against a particular team, stuff like that. Kind of, we're gonna do it this way. We're gonna kill this team, and we're gonna move on to the next week. So that's pretty much what week two was about in college football. NFL, like I said, in full swing, very, very fun, and happy to have that back. So we'll recap week one of the NFL, and then we'll preview week two. But we'll start with, and of course, our pick segment at the end, and how you doing, and my chalk moment of the week will be mixed in there as well. But we will start with baseball, where the Dodgers, they almost threw two no hitters in the last 3 games, and unfortunately for them, they came away with none. So it kind of shows how tough baseball is. Both no hitters they had were into the ninth inning. One was against the Orioles, the other one was against the Rockies. So we're not saying it's against a great team, but they had one against the Orioles. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he had 8 2/3 without giving up a hit. Then eventually, he gave up a hit, and they actually lost that game. And then last night, the Glass now Blake Trinan combo got them through 8 innings of no hit ball. They started the ninth. Tanner Scott gave up a hit to lead off the inning. They did win that one. So they had two no hitters into the ninth inning. Actually, wound up losing a game, which is crazy. And then they came away with a smaller victory. But the Dodgers, scary team as usual. But now they're starting to get their A-plus pitchers back, which is something to be people got to be worried about because you know Dodgers haven't been healthy again this year in terms of pitching, and they're still in the lead of the division, and they could do much, much more when they get their reinforcements on the way, which is scary for the rest of the league. Some other MLB news: another team that's in the thick of seeding. They're winning the division right now. They're winning again tonight, 4-0. But the Phillies, they have some bad news coming their way. Trey Turner, I guess you could say bad and good news, just because they're not out as long as they thought they would be, but they're still out. Trey Turner and Alec Bohm will be out, to the left side of their infield is going to be on the IL. Trey Turner seems like it's going to take him a little longer to come back than Alec Bohm, but still at least 10 days without Bohm, and then a little more than that for Trey Turner. And it seems like that both guys, they're not going to rush it with them. They're going to aim for a playoff return. So that can either go two ways. The health, yeah, can be there 100%, but then you got to worry about these guys being a little rusty because they didn't play for 3-4 weeks, which is a little scary. And the Phillies need these guys if they want to go deep in the postseason. Because yeah, they're having a great year, but the table is set by Trey Turner. Alec Bohm is a big run producer, brings in a lot of runs for the Phillies. So we got to keep an eye on what exactly is going to happen with the Phillies. So before we move off baseball, because there's not that much going on in terms of news. So we'll go through the standings, divisions, then we'll get to the wild card. Have we usually been doing? And maybe I'll we'll give a little prediction as what I think will happen in terms of the wild card seeding, because the wild card is getting crazy once again. But let's start with the American League, where you have the Blue Jays still leading the division after a little bit of a rough weekend against the Yankees, but they lost the series. But Toronto 82 and 61, Yankees at 80 and 63. So the Yankees are only 2 games out of first now. So they were out much more than that going into last week, and they've made up some ground in a positive way. And see, the Yankees they're coming for the Blue Jays, so the Blue Jays got to watch out. Blue Jays are playing 500 ball in their last 10 games. They have lost 2 in a row, like I said, going into tonight. And the Yankees have won 2 in a row. Those 2 games they played against each other, and they're 7-3 in their last 10. Then we got the Red Sox, 80 and 65, so they're 2 out of the loss column from the Yankees, so they're right there. They're a game out in the standings from them. 5-5 in their last 10. They're on a 2-game winning streak, so they're playing pretty good baseball, and I'm pretty sure they play each other very soon. Before actually, too, when we're done with the standings, we'll do a live scoreboard update of the games that are going on tonight, because that can influence certain things. And then the Rays, 71 and 72. So the Rays are 7-3 in their last 10, but have lost 3 in a row. Kind of losing some steam when can't really afford to lose some steam, which kind of stinks for them. But it is what it is. And then the Orioles, 66 and 77. They're 16 at first. It doesn't really matter anymore. 5 from the Rays if they want to have a shot at getting fourth, which I doubt that will be the case. So yeah, the American League East has pretty much been the same. Yankees and Red Sox kind of jostling for that second place spot. But besides that, it's been the same order for the most part. AL Central, Tigers still in command of first place at 82 and 62. They're 4-6 in their last 10. Did lose their last game, I should say. But they are the only plus run differential in their division in the AL Central. Not that great. Guardians in second place at 73 and 70. They're 8.5 out of first, so you can pretty much call this division over for the most part. They have won 4 in a row, so they're playing better, 6-4 in their last 10 as well. Royals at 73 and 71. They're only a half game from the Guardians, so we'll see what the Royals can do. But they have lost a few in a row, and they're 4-6 in their last 10. So that kind of seems like the Yankees and Red Sox, how they keep flip flopping. Seems like that's going to be the case as well with this division. And then we got the Minnesota Twins at 64 and 80. So they have, like I said a few weeks ago, they were going to be a team that was going to go in the downturn just because they traded so many guys away and they didn't have the ability to make come up from that. I mean, they traded about half their roster at the deadline. That's impossible to even do anything. I mean, that was their plan. They knew they weren't really going to go anywhere, so they got to take advantage of that and move on. But still, it's like man, you traded over half your team. Like you're not even trying to compete, and that's exactly what has happened with the Twins. 3-7 in their last 10, and they have won 2 in a row somehow. So we'll see with the Twins if they can do anything, because they're probably more than likely, unless they go on an outstanding finish, will be under 500. And then the White Sox, last place as they usually are, 55 and 89, 7-3 in their last 10. So they are playing very good baseball to end the season. The last American League division. Here is the Astros. My apologies. I keep trying to check the Mets score to see what's going on with them. Let's see if they can get a rally going here, but it is 5-0, and then Marte grounded to a double play, so that will kill the rally. AL West, the Astros at 78 and 66, Mariners at 76 and 68. So the Mariners are only 2 games out from the Astros. That's changed a little bit from last week as well. It also feels like the Astros haven't had a huge lead, but it just feels like they have a lead that they won't let go. So it doesn't matter if it's 4 games, 1 game, half a game. It seems like the Astros are going to keep that no matter what. They'll do just enough to come away with the division, even though they're going to be limping into the playoffs at this point because they have not played good baseball for a long time. That's what the situation is right now. But they are 4-6 in their last 10. They lost their last game. Mariners on a 3-game winning streak. They're also 4-6 in their last 10. The Texas Rangers, so they're on still a heater. They were last week, and they've continued that. They're 75 and 70. They're a game and a half from second place, 3.5 from first place. So they're very much alive as well if they have a great week and another great week. And they're 7-3 in the last 10. They've won 2 in a row. Angels 67 and 77. They are 11 games out of first. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They've lost the games. They're pretty much trying to avoid last place. That's their only goal at this point. They have nothing else they can really count on. The Athletics at 66 and 79. They're a game and a half from the Angels. They're 3-7 in the last 10, and they have lost two in a row. So the Angels and the A's are pretty much battling for last place, and then the other guys are battling for first. Let's do the American League wild card here. Let's see what we got. Um, Seeding wise, AL leaders, Blue Jays are the first seed by half a game. Tigers are second seed, and then the Astros are in the third seed, I should say. So pretty much the the Blue Jays and the Tigers are going to battle for the number one seed with the Astros. They do have a chance at it, but they're out of it a little bit where you don't really seems that they can do that. The wild card, the Yankees are right now occupying the number one wild card. As the Red Sox, like I said before, are two out in the loss column from the Yankees, same amount of wins, just two out in the loss column. So the Red Sox are second seed. Mariners are occupying that third seed with the Rangers. Now the Rangers are the first team looking out. Looking in at the playoff, playoff bracket. Rangers a game and a half out, Guardians 2.5 out, Royals 3, and the Tampa Bay Rays are holding on a little bit with 4.5 out. So they're still in it, if you want to say that. I consider if you're five or less, you're still in it. It depends now. If we get to next week and the team's 5 games out, with not many games left, like 15 at that point, that's very hard to overcome. You got to think about that. But it seems like it's going to go in the right direction, and we'll see for the Rays. The Rays have been playing better, but right now, if the postseason started today, Blue Jays and Tigers would have a bye. Astros would take on the Mariners. That'd be a divisional matchup, and then the Yankees would host the Red Sox. I would expect that to change, though. It seems like they've been flip flopping for a while now, so we'll see what exactly happens in the American League. So let's switch over to the National League, and we will start with the NL East, where the Philadelphia Phillies are 84 and 60. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They're occupying first place by 8 games now. The Mets are 76 and 68 in second place. They're 4-6 in their last 10. They've lost 3 in a row. I'll talk about more about the Mets later on. Miami Marlins 66 and 78. They are 18 games out of first, 10 from the Mets, so they're pretty much out of it. I would say the season is over for the Marlins, if you want to say that. I would say so. Braves 65 and 79. They're another team. They're only a game from the Marlins now, so if they're trying to push for third place, which is I can't believe that the Marlins are ahead of the Braves. Just if you look at rosters, that is insane to me that that's the case. I know both teams stink, but still, um, the Braves are 4-6 in their last 10. They won their last game they played. Nationals 59 and 84. They're 6-4 in their last 10. On a 3-game winning streak. They're 5.5 from the Braves, and then the NL Central, where the Brewers are still in first place by a larger margin than they were last week. 89 and 56. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They lost their last game. Cubs 81 and 63. They're 7.5 out of first. So pretty much Cubs and Mets locked in the wild card. They can't really get the division. It's just too much ground to overcome at this point. They've lost 3 in a row. Reds at dead even 500, 72 and 72. Cardinals 72 and 73. So the Cardinals are half a game out from the Reds. Both teams did lose their last game. Reds are 4-6 in their last 10. Cardinals are 6-4 in their last 10, and then the Pirates in last place at 64 and 80. So the Pirates are pretty much a mainstay in last place at this point. The NL West, where we got the Dodgers in first place by a game. They have not been playing good baseball lately. 3-7 in their last 10. They have won 2 in a row though. 80 and 64 they are. Padres at 79 and 65. So they're only a game out of first. They're right there. They're coming for the Dodgers. They were in first last week, and then they fell out of first. So something that to keep an eye on. They've won 3 in a row. Giants at 73 and 71. They've been outstanding lately. They are 7 out of first. 6 games from the Padres for second. 7-3 in their last 10. And they've won a lot. I believe it's like 15 of 18 at this point, something like that, or maybe 15 of 20. It's something really, really, a really good clip that they're playing good, crisp baseball right now. And the Giants are perceived to be a team that wasn't going to do anything at the deadline, and They got rid of guys. How you know they brought in Devers early in the summer, but at the deadline they got rid of guys and they're still winning games and they're playing really good lately and they're very much in the wild card race. And then the Diamondbacks 72 and 73, they're a game and a half from the Giants and they're also in the race right now. Somehow they've been playing better as well, but they're also somehow in the race. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They've lost two in a row. And we got the Rockies to round out the divisional standings at 40 and 104. So last week I said when we started the show they had 99 losses. I said they will have their 100th by the time we do the show, and of course they do. They have 104. Let's do the wild card, NL wild card standings here, and we'll go over some seeding as well. I keep checking the Mets game because they did have that double play, and now they got first and second with two outs. Jose Siri struck out again, but he is back from the IL after 5 months on the sideline with a broken leg. NL leaders: Brewers 89, like I said, 89-56. They're in the first seed. Phillies are 5 games or so behind them. They're in the second seed, and then they're 4 games up on the Dodgers, who are the 3 seed. So those three teams are pretty much going to be locked in into that positioning, if you want to say that, unless the Phillies' injuries hamper them a little bit. But I wouldn't expect the Brewers to let that go. And I mean the Padres. We're gonna get to them. We're going to get to the Padres in a little bit, but they're right there. So you can very easily swap them out for the Dodgers if you wanted to. But the Dodgers are occupying the third seed for now. Cubs first wild card at 81 and 63, which is a little a little quirk in the MLB and pretty much most sports standings. You know the way the standings go because they have a better record than the Dodgers and they're not in the top 3 seeds, but they're not winning the division, so that's why. Padres in that second wild card, rounded out by the Mets in the third wild card. Then they got the Giants 3 games out, the Reds 4 games out, Diamondbacks 4.5 games out, and the Cardinals 4.5 games out. So yeah, the Diamondbacks and the Cardinals are 1 game under 500, but they are only 4.5 games out. So that can very easily be made up. But I would say after this week, if you're not within 3 games of a wild card, you're not really in it. It's very, very tough to come back from that much of a deficit with so little games to play. But the top 5 teams, I would say, are pretty much mailed in for the NL playoffs. The Mets are the only team that really, they're gonna have to fight for it, and they have not been playing good baseball. So they're gonna do it to themselves, but they got to be able to hold on and get into the postseason. But if the postseason started today, the Brewers and Phillies would have a bye. Dodgers would take on the Mets, and the Cubs would take on the Padres. Those would be really, really good wild card series. But I think as Met fans, I will talk about this in a little bit, but as Met fans, you don't want the Dodgers in the first round. You want to try to get over the Padres, which it's going to be tough now because you're 3 games out. But try to get over the Padres and play the Cubs. Because even if the Padres win the division, I don't think you want the Mets playing the Padres either. That's a very tough team, and the Mets have more of a hard time with the Padres than they do with the Dodgers. So that's going to be something that they really have to incentivize themselves and saying we got to get ahead of one of these teams, and we got to force it. We're not going to win a division now. We got to be able to get our way to play the Cubs because I like the way that would um, break out for them. But yeah, that'll do it for some baseball talk. The postseason is going to be here before you know it, and it's going to be very, very fun. The what seems like the teams that are in the postseason will be, except those last wild card spots. Those teams seem like they have to hold on. The Mariners and the Mets have the same record as well. Those two teams are going to have to hold on to their spots, but it's going to be very entertaining and a very exciting time in baseball. But let's move on to some football. Before I do NFL, strictly NFL talk, I want to do my chalk moment of the week, which of course has to do with week one because now they were going to be more of a football centric show. And to me, my chalk moment is the fact that the Miami Dolphins are embarrassing. They really they had the worst week out of everybody. I mean, you can think about there's some teams out there that are much better, much worse than the Dolphins. What they have on their roster, and they were able to compete. And they were able to compete against, it doesn't matter the team, but they were able to compete. And the Dolphins lose by 25 points to the Colts. Listen, I'm not taking anything away from the Colts, but I don't think the Colts are that great to beat a team by 25 points. No way. And I don't think if you compare Colts to Miami's roster, I think they're very close. I know that maybe the coaching can be a difference, but I'm saying roster on paper. I would say the Dolphins can probably have them beat, and they lost to them by 25 points, non-competitive from start to finish. I mean, I was at the Jets game, so I really wasn't able to watch it in depth, but I was following it along, and I had it on the scoreboard and stuff like that. Every time you look up, Dolphins, either two is getting sacked, Tua's throwing a pick. He's fumbling. The defense is just letting guys run all over the place against them. I mean, I don't really just don't understand. I don't understand why why they're so bad. And I know they seem like things weren't going the right direction with them at the end of last year, and it just picked up right where it left off. There was nothing. There was no energy for this team. They look like they already don't even like each other. And I mean, the season just started. The season just started, and you're already over it. You're already over some of your teammates. Tyreek Hill looks like he wants out. I know he has problems of his own, but he looks like he doesn't even want to be there anymore. He was throwing a temper tantrum already in the first game. First game doing that? Come on, that's not a good look for Miami, and that's why they're my chalk moment of the week. I know Tua had no protection; he was getting hit a lot. I know he got sacked 3 times, but you got to take into account just him getting hit on the ground. That happened a lot. His 3 turnovers. The defense was atrocious. I know Miami had a rough secondary, like on paper going in, and they showed why they're going to be one of the worst secondaries in the league. They had all world of trouble going on. Daniel Jones is picking them apart on Sunday afternoon. And then I'm not saying that, like I said, I'm not saying the Colts aren't good, but I don't think they're great. I think they're a middle of the pack team, and they beat the Dolphins, who should be in that range as well, by 25 points. That's just not what you want. And yeah, that's why it was my chalk moment. I just don't understand why the Dolphins are suffering or did suffer already that bad. Like I don't get it. Um, let's move into strictly NFL now, where we will talk about the highlight of week one of the highlights of week one, because the week one was great, but the one that's most fresh in our minds is JJ McCarthy. He rallies the Vikings with a 21 point fourth quarter to a win over the Bears at Soldier Field, where this looked like JJ McCarthy did not look like he even belonged on the NFL field up until the fourth quarter, and he was able to just put that he just got confidence out of nowhere, and he went out there, threw 2 touchdowns, ran a really key touchdown, and they came away with the win against a Bears team that kind of left it on the table. They should have came away with that win, and unfortunately, they were not able to. But excuse me, but the Bears we're up 17-6 going into the fourth. Beginning of the fourth quarter, McCarthy hit Justin Jefferson for a touchdown. They did miss a 2-pointer, so it was 17-12. Then McCarthy throws another touchdown a few minutes later to Aaron Jones. They did get the 2-pointer there, so it made it 20-17. And then McCarthy ran for scampered for a touchdown as well, which made it 27-17. The Bears scored a late touchdown. It made it a little interesting at the end, but not really. And then, yeah, the Vikings came away with the win. But McCarthy was impressive. I mean, I could say that he was not impressive to begin the game, and for the first 3 quarters, he threw a pick six, had a rough start, looked very confused by what the Bears were throwing at him. And I mean, it is at his first NFL game. He hasn't been on the field as well because he was injured. There's a lot that goes with it, but he stepped up big time for a Vikings team that has a lot of talent. They're littered with talent all over that roster. They need a JJ McCarthy to play. Just play like he did last night. They're going to win a ton of games. He can't play. He won't. I'm not saying he can't, but he won't play at the Sam Darnold level. So they have to accept a little less quarterback play. But the roster is better than last year. So I mean, that offensive line should be better. They didn't play too great last night, but they should be better than what they were last year. And they gotta make sure they keep themselves in games, and their defense will play great as well. The defense was good again last night, only letting up 17 because that pick six you take away 7 from the total. 17 points is nothing in this league, and the Vikings defense showed that, and they confused Caleb Williams very much as well. So defense is going to be very, very good for the Vikings, and the rest of that team around JJ offensively, they can help him out, and he just needs to trust them to that they can do it for him, and I think that he'll be just fine. When you're doing the show by yourself, sometimes you got to take a couple of water breaks just because the voice gets a little dry. But let's do around the league here. I wish I had the music. Let's do it where we will start with you know what? I'm trying to see if we can. We could do it anyway. The Eagles versus the Cowboys. This is a great game to start off week one and just the NFL season in general. Eagles came away with the win 24-20. This was a really high scoring game in the first half, and then there was only 3 points in the second half. So at halftime, it was 21-20 Eagles. And then after that, the Eagles scored a field goal in the first possession of the third quarter, and there was no more points after that. It seemed like that Jalen Hurts and all those guys, all the boys over there, they were clicking very, very easily offensively in the first half, especially. But throughout the entire game, they looked good. Cowboys, I mean, they weren't too bad. I know they traded Parsons, and everyone's like so down on them, but they hung in there with the defending champs. Dak played good. His stat line doesn't reflect, I think, how good he played. There was some big plays that he made that the receivers didn't come up with. CD Lamb dropped a few passes that were just like, man, he never drops those. What was going on with him? George Pickens, I think, as time goes on, he'll get more involved. He only had 3 catches for 30 yards. I think there's more for him, more touches for him in his future. And their running game wasn't all that bad either. I mean, something that said that the people said that around the NFL, like Javante Williams and the rest of that running back room is not going to be enough. He had 2 touchdowns himself, and he ran the ball pretty well. Miles Sanders caught a few passes out of the backfield. So I mean, they weren't that far off from winning that game. And I mean, the Cowboys should be okay. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team, but they showed that they weren't going to be as bad as people are putting it out there. I don't think so either. I think that they'll be fine. And they scored 20 against an Eagles defense, which is very good. If you put them against those defenses that aren't as good, they will probably score more because they have the firepower to do that. And they just got to hope that their defense can, carry what they did in the second half of this game now forward. But the first half was rough for that defense, but they were able to play pretty much, shut them down, the Eagles offense for the entire second half after that first drive. And also, Jalen Carter spitting on Dak, which you can say Dak spit on him first, whatever. Dak didn't land it. I guess that's why he didn't get in trouble compared to Jalen Carter, who spit directly on Dak. He got fined, I believe, like around 50 something thousand, and he will be able to play this week. So people probably, me personally, I thought he would be suspended for a game for doing that because that's just like very low thing to do. I just don't understand why another human would do that to someone. It is what it is, but he didn't get suspended. He did get fined though, so um, the Eagles will move forward as they go to Kansas City, which we'll preview in a little bit. Friday night now, so we did have a Friday night game as well. This was another really good game all the way until the end. The Chargers came away with this one, 27-21. Herbert looked fantastic from start to finish. Quentin Johnston stepped up. Keenan Allen looks like his old self. Lad McConkey was just doing his thing pretty much the entire game. This was a game that it was 13-6 at halftime, and I feel that the Chargers should have been up a lot more, and it seemed like, oh, here we go. The Chargers let the Chiefs hang around in the first half when they should be killing them, and then the Chiefs are going to come back and win this game. Well, the Chiefs did not come back and win this game, and I know they didn't get blown out like they did in the Super Bowl, but a lot of the things that went wrong for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl happened again this past week, and it seems like the offensive line, they said they upgraded it. Don't think that's the case. The defense struggled in terms of secondary. I feel like they relied too much on the rest of their team to help them on the defensive unit, and they struggled. Herbert picked them apart. Uh, he was just picking apart the zone. That's pretty much what he was doing, making it easy for himself. And yeah, what I wanted to go back to was the 13-6 score at the half. So the Chargers, not that much time left in the end of the first half. Marion Hampton, rookie, he got the carry and he ran out of bounds. So that left a lot of time on the clock. And a lot of time you want to say with the Chiefs. It was like 50 something seconds. If he stayed in bounds, Chargers could have took that all the way down to, I believe it was like 8 or 9 seconds, and they kicked the field goal. They did not do that, so they left time on for the Chiefs. The Chiefs came, they got a field goal at the end. It was a long one, 50 something yards, but Bucker did make it, and they went in the half down by a touchdown. Then they came out of the halftime and they were only down by one. So that was like, oh man, we just let these guys get back in the game. And I mean, it turns out they didn't because they didn't win. But Herbert played outstanding. He had 318 yards. Hollywood Brown and Mahomes did their thing for the Chiefs, but it wasn't enough. Now let's move to Sunday. So some of these games weren't too great, so we'll probably just skip over them. But let's do it. Bucks came away with the win on the road over the Falcons, 23-20. This should have been a game the Bucks lost probably 2 or 3 different ways, and they didn't. Koo missed a few kicks. Penix was on the goal line and he had a chance, and he didn't come away with it. There was a lot of different things that happened. Baker looked really, really good. Again, Mika Ibuka, he might be in conversation very very soon for rookie of the year on the offensive side. He was great. I mean, Chris Godwin's out for the time being. Mike Evans, yeah, is there, but they needed somebody to step up, and McMillan's hurt as well, and Ibuka did just that. So they're gonna have a lot of questions, good questions, I should say, but they're gonna have some questions and things to talk about when Godwin and McMillan come back. If Ibuka is gonna play this well, it's like who's gonna get a little less playing time because Godwin, when healthy, is out there every play. McMillan, when Godwin went down, McMillan basically took his spot. So now you got to add those two plus McMillan in there. I mean, plus Abuka in there. And Abuka had 2 touchdowns on 4 catches, around 60 something, 70 yards. He played great. Baker did what he had to do. He's been playing since he went to Tampa. He's just been so good for them, and it came away with another win. They're one of those teams in the league. They come in and they find a way to win, not a way to lose, which some teams do. And the Falcons seems like they're on that yeah, that kind of that list where they find ways to lose more so than ways to win, which is unfortunate for them. But Falcons are going to be fine. I think they're going to win their fair share of games. I don't know about making the postseason, but I think they'll be okay. Let's move to the next game where this is another game. The team that won shouldn't have won. Bengals 17-16 road win. They once again look like the Bengals of week 1 through 4 every single season for the past 5 years. I don't know what it is. They just don't start out great, and that happened again. But they did win this time. Usually they do lose some games in the beginning of the year, but they did win this game. Brown's a rookie kicker. He missed an extra point, missed a field goal. There was a lot going on in that game. The Browns should have won it, like I said, 2 or 3 different ways, and they didn't. And yeah, the Browns aren't expected to be any good, but could have been a nice win for them to start the year. And Joe Flacco's still slinging it. He had some bad mistakes, but he came up with 290 passing yards. And yeah, the Bengals just have to figure it out. I know they did win, but if they come and play like that against Jacksonville this week, it's not really going to work out. The next game we talked about this before. We'll just skip past it. Colts 33-8 win over Miami. Miami's a joke. Daniel Jones 272 yards. Jonathan Taylor at 71 on the ground. Jones looked outstanding. Looked like he had some confidence in himself, which he probably has never had in the NFL, especially playing for a bad Giants team where he had no, he didn't have much going on for them. Next game, the Raiders came away with the win over the Patriots, 20-13. Geno Smith threw for 362 yards. Genti not great, 38 rushing yards on like 19 carries, so he didn't do too great, but he did get in the end zone. And Brock Bowers, kind of the storyline of the game, he had over 100 yards, but came away injured. They still didn't say to what extent, but he has a knee injury, so hopefully for fantasy owners that he is not going to be out because he's a huge weapon for the Raiders. But going one thing to talk about in this game seems like that the Patriots aren't just ready. They're not yet ready to step up their class a little bit. I'm not saying the Raiders are that much better than them, but I feel like the Raiders are going to be better than they have been just because of coaching and they have a quarterback. They have stability at quarterback, which they haven't had in a while. Like Gino was going to do just enough to help them win games, and he did. He did great the other day. He did great Sunday afternoon, and the Raiders came away with the win across the country as well, which is something that you see teams from the West coming to the East they struggle with, and they did not struggle. They played good throughout the entire game, and the defense improving. That's another thing because that defense is one of the worst in the NFL. Not even just the AFC, the entire NFL. They were one of the worst, and they improved that side of the ball. The next game here, probably the big stinker of the week, was the Cardinals versus the Saints. They won 20-13. Probably should have won by more. Saints had a chance at winning at the end of that game. Both teams are not going to be too good this year. Saints are really they actually might lose every game. They're just not good. They're just not a good team, and the Cardinals let them hang around. And the Saints had a chance at tying that one up in the last possession. They didn't, but um, the Cardinals came away with the win. Marvin Harrison looked great starting off his second year. He looked like he got some strength to him. Came away with some really really nice catches. Murray and him had a great connection. McBride as well. So the Cardinals, their offense is going to be fine, but I just don't think they're going to win many games. Then probably the game of the week. I mean, I don't want to talk about it too much now. I'll talk about it later. But the Steelers did beat the Jets 34-32. I was there. A lot of Steeler fans, too many for my liking. Rodgers looked great, 244, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. I think he had 8 incompletions the whole game, over 200 yards. I think it was Just a great game for Rodgers, and I'll give my Jets spiel. I talked about them yesterday as well in the solo episode. I'll go a little more if anybody missed that. I'll do that later, and then yeah, the next game, Commanders, the other New York team. Commanders went up against the Giants. They came away with that one, 21-6. Though the Giants, listen, they have a great defense. Their offense is in trouble. They can't protect. They can't even hit an open pass. They can't do anything. And Neighbors is already frustrated. I know that they really don't want to put Dart in that situation. I wouldn't put him in there either. But they might get to that point where they feel that he's going to be better than what anything Russ can provide. Because Russ was awful. He stunk. I don't. I hate saying that about guys, but he was horrible. He was horrible the entire game. Um, this was a game that was 14-6 until the fourth quarter, and I believe it was into the fourth quarter, and the Commanders finally put that extra touchdown on the board. Jaden Daniels looked good. He looked like his rookie year self. I think he's going to be just fine. They're going to win the games they should win. I think they'll beat a few good teams, and they're going to struggle with some of the bigger teams. But the defense of the Commanders still improving, and they look good Sunday afternoon. Then the Jaguars versus Panthers, they won 26-10. This is a game that was pretty much a blowout throughout the entire game. So Lawrence didn't have to do very much. He had 178 yards, but they had this one in the bag. There was a delay as well, so it ended late. It was started at 1 o'clock and ended late. Just it was the weather was a little uh, iffy. The next game here, the 4 o'clock window, Broncos 20-12. This is a game I put on red zone when I came back from from the game, from the Jets game, and the Broncos, they were just not playing good at all, and they were just making stupid decisions. Bo Nix had 40 pass attempts, completed only 22, 176 yards. He had two picks, so he didn't play good at all. So we'll see what the Broncos can do. But the Broncos, they have the best defense of football. You could see it. They built on what they had last year, and they already had a great defense, and they just built on that. Broncos are going to be a force just because their defense is so good, and hopefully Bo Nix, if the Broncos want to go anywhere, Bo Nix has to pick up his game a little bit. And then rookie RJ Harvey, 70 yards on the ground. He had a 50-something yard run. He didn't get that many carries, and he played well. And then the next game here, 49ers versus Seahawks, another low-scoring game. 49ers came away with a W, 17-13. Brock Purdy, 277 in the air. He threw or I believe it was two picks and also two touchdowns. Kittle got hurt, so that's something to keep note on. McCaffrey looked good, despite him being on the injury report pretty much the entire week. 49ers defense, very young, but Robert Saleh is back at the helm over there, and he looked great. He what you call it? He was able to go out there and just perfect the perfect game plan throughout the entire game. Sam Darnold was in a blender. I don't even think he had 100 yards. If I let me check that, but I don't even think he had 100 yards the entire game. He was struggling pretty bad throughout. And the 49ers, they are very banged up on the offensive side of the ball. But if you have to put any stock into anything, is that defense is going to win them. They're going to win them games where they may not even belong in that situation, but they will do it. Uh, and they gotta go out there. And Brock Purdy's also in danger of missing Sunday. And they play the Saints, which we'll talk about, we'll go through. But they play the Saints on Sunday, so this is something that Mac Jones, you're gonna have to do just enough to get that win because they can't afford to lose to the Saints. That's embarrassing if they do that. So I'm trying to get this Sam Darnold stat line, but it's not coming up. But let's move on to the next game that happened on Sunday. Let's see what's going on here. My apologies, just it's taking too long. Packers versus Lions, 27-13. Packers win. Micah Parsons with a sack. Defense looked insane. Lions might be in trouble. I'm not gonna lie. I know it was only one game, but they might be in trouble. The offensive coordinator knew. DC knew. Defense did not look good. Offense looked even worse. They didn't have anything going for them at all. They had nothing going for them throughout the entire game. So we'll see what the Lions can do to adjust. But the Packers, they might win that division. I feel Vikings gonna have to go through growing pains with McCarthy, so I don't think they will win the division because they're gonna lose some games they should win. Lions, Packers put a beating to them, and I wouldn't say the Bears are gonna be in any chance or any spot at winning. So yeah, I think the Packers are going to be just fine. And the way that defense looked, they're going to be great. Next game here, the last 4 o'clock game was the Rams 14-9 win. Very low scoring game, but Stafford looked great, which was encouraging. Back looked fine. He threw for 245 and a touchdown. Kyron Williams was good. Puka Nakua went off. Devontae inserting himself in with the Rams. Their defense very young, still building, and they play great. C.J. Stroud and the Texans. Uh, Listen, it was just a good ball game. There's nothing really you can do about that. And then Sunday night, the Ravens versus the Bills. This was a thriller. Bills came away with a 41-40 win. They were down 40-25 with around 7 minutes left, maybe even less than that. And let me check that. And then the Bills came away with the 41-40 win. Derrick Henry with a costly fumble at the end of the game. That kind of, that kind of took the wind out of the sails for the Bills, excuse me. And they were losing 40-25. The Bills actually scored a touchdown with under 4 minutes left, and then they scored another touchdown after the 2 minute warning. They um, they missed the 2 point conversion, so they gave the Bills just enough time, not a lot of time. They gave them just enough time where they came away with the game-winning field goal on the leg of Matt Prater, 41-year-old Matt Prater, who wasn't even playing. Uh, for a while now, and he actually said he was coaching his son's high school team, and they called him up. They're like, "You want to kick for us?" And he did, and he came away with the game-winning field goal. So that was it for the games in week one. But some other things I want to do before we hit week two, and the quarterback that impressed me. So you probably could have guessed this, but it is Justin Herbert, and it's not just because they won the game. I just feel like he looked so confident in everything, and every pass he was making, he scrambled when he had to, but the fact that three different receivers had 7+ catches, and they weren't just like checkdowns, they were legit plays, and three different receivers came away with a catch, with 7+ catches. Johnson had two touchdowns. Keenan Allen had a touchdown, and then McConkey had 7 catches, and he had a ton of yards as well. This Chargers team is very scary. Their defense is good. They can run the ball, and they're starting to run it even more. Hampton and Najee Harris, once they get into full swing, with Hampton getting comfortable playing in the NFL and Najee getting to full health. Add that to what they did in the past game, they're going to be just fine. I mean, and they beat a solid team, which is it's gonna be a force to be reckoned with in the Chargers. So Herbert is definitely the quarterback that impressed me the most this week. My overreaction from week one, and I feel it could be anything, but I'm gonna say, going on a limb here, Raiders are making a postseason. I know they beat a Patriots team that shouldn't be in a postseason, but I think the recipe for how the Raiders came away with the win, it can be very simple. It can be Geno Smith has to pass I mean, can pass if he has to that much to that extent, which they needed him to in week one, and they won. Genti is only going to get better. I don't think he would get worse than what he did. He's only going to get better. Brock Bowers is the question mark, though. If Brock Bowers misses a lot of time, that can kind of hamper the expectations for the Raiders. But they need to they need to make sure he's okay. And if he is, that's going to be just fine because then Jacoby Myers falls into place as the second target. Trey Tucker caught a big touchdown. Michael Mayer getting more playing time than he has in his career so far. So it seems like they're committed to the two tight end sets. Even Mayer giving Bowers a little bit of a break. So I like that. That seems like it's going to work for them. But hopefully, the key to my overreaction is Brock Bowers being healthy. Because if he's healthy, I'm putting the Raiders in the postseason right now. Preview for week two here. Let's do the games first, and then we'll get into some other little things here after. Let's do it. Thursday night, Commanders against Packers. That'll be at Lambeau Field. First game on Prime Video of the year. That should be a good game. It seems like the Packers, like I said, their defense is going to be really really good. And then the Commanders won their first game, and they're looking to just bounce off what they've done so far. Then Jacksonville going to Cincinnati. So both of those teams are undefeated still. We'll see which Bengals team shows up. Jaguars looked really good in week one, but then again, it was against the Panthers. You have to take that with a grain of salt. As Vientos went deep for the Mets, they are down 4-1 now. But let's get back to football, where the Jaguars and Bengals are matching up. Both teams 1-0. Kind of did it a little differently, so we'll see what happens. Bengals should win that one. Giants at Cowboys. Giants are not Giants are just not a good team. I don't think they're going to be anything. Cowboys impressed me, like I said, so I would expect the Cowboys to come out with that one. Bears against Lions. This one, I don't know, man. Both teams suffered losses they shouldn't have, in their opinion. I feel like the Bears definitely should have won that game, and then the Lions just got embarrassed. So they got whooped. We'll see what happens. But if I had to put a team, I would bounce on I would expect the Lions to bounce back this week over the Bears. Next game, Rams versus Titans. I think this is one of the trappy games of the week. So the Rams beat the Texans 14-9 at home. Now they're traveling to Nashville to take on the Titans team who hung in there with the Broncos. Cam Ward didn't look the greatest. Now it's his first home game. Both teams were, the Rams did come away with the win. Titans didn't, but both teams didn't look great. So we'll see what happens with that one. I would expect the Rams to win, but we'll see. Then we'll go with the Patriots and the Dolphins. I don't know, man, with this game. So both teams did lose week one, but the Dolphins look so bad. I would actually think the Patriots have a better chance of winning this one. So I think the Patriots are going to get them on the road. Then the 49ers just it's just so frustrating. If I don't like the I despise the Dolphins, but if you it just has to be frustrating because they have talent on that roster and they look so bad, and I don't even think it's going to get better. I can see McDaniel's getting fired very early. Um, Next game here, 49ers and Saints. This one, 49ers should win, but now Brock Purdy is in danger of missing the game. George Kittle's on the IR. There's some guys banged up. Jawan Jennings is also banged up. So the 49ers have a lot going against them, but the Saints may be so badly off that the 49ers can come away with a small victory. I would expect it to be very low scoring, just like how the Cardinals took care of business. I think Mac Jones can do just enough to beat the Saints, and the 49ers defense, which will carry them all season, will get the Saints to maybe commit a turnover, some short field action, and help them come away with the W. Let's go to the next game here is the Bills versus the Jets. I will save my Jets little spiel for a little later, but this should be an entertaining game. I would say the Bills do win, though. Bills are just a class above pretty much everybody in the AFC, and I think that will be the case against the Jets. Seahawks versus Steelers. This should be another really good, entertaining game. Rodgers looked great. Now he's going to Pittsburgh for his first home game. Seahawks hung in there with the 49ers. Probably should have won that game. They had some opportunities they didn't cash in on, which the Steelers did against the Jets. Seahawks didn't against the 49ers. I think that's going to be a good game. Browns versus Ravens might be, it is a divisional game, but I think the Ravens are going to try to exercise some demons now because their last two losses dating back to last year. Now, week one, we were against the Bills, and it would combine 3 points. I think they're going to put a beating to the Browns. And then 4 o'clock window here, Broncos versus Colts. So we'll see. I think the Broncos are going to win this one. I think their defense is going to shut down Daniel Jones just enough, and I think Bo Nix is going to have a good game. I don't think he's going to play as badly as he did last week because he was awful. He threw all those pass attempts, completed basically a little over 50%, and threw 2 interceptions. I don't see that happening again, and I'm not buying into Colts hype. I'm not buying into that at all. Next game here, another game that's probably not going to be that great. Panthers and Cardinals. We'll see what happens. We'll see who wins this one. Cardinals did not look good against the Saints. Panthers didn't look good against the Jaguars. But Cardinals did win the game, so that's important to note. But if I had to pick a team here, I'm going to say Panthers. I'm going to say a little upset. Panthers will come away with the win. And then the big game of the week, Eagles going to Arrowhead to face the Chiefs. I think the Eagles are going to pretty much win this game. Not easily, but I think they're going to win it comfortably, I should say, because the Chiefs have problems. They really do. They have another team that has their weapons. They're banged up. So that's going to hurt them a little bit. Eagles look like they're going to be running on all cylinders. They did win that game without their best defensive player in Jalen Carter. That's another thing. They it seems like the Chiefs have some issues, man. I just don't think they're going to get their first win this week. Then the Falcons taking on the Vikings Sunday night. So a little bit of a new age of the quarterbacks. Michael Penix and JJ McCarthy, both second-year players, but we all know McCarthy was out last year, so that's going to be, I think, a fun game all over the field, just because both teams have some talent. But if I had to guess, the Vikings can come away and start 2-0. Then Monday night, we got two Monday night games. Bucks going to Houston. That should be a good game. That one's starting at 7, so usually Monday night starts at 8, but we have another game Chargers and Raiders as well, which starts at 10. So I think that the Bucks are really good, but I don't think they're going to get this one. I think the Texans are going to get their first win at home. I think it's going to be a really good game, but I just think that the Texans are going to come away with the win. Then the Chargers against the Raiders. This probably was what people thought on paper, and they look at this. Oh no, they're not gonna do anything. They're not gonna do that or whatever. Chargers are gonna win. The Chargers are gonna have a really good game, and I think the Chargers are gonna win that game. I think that the Chargers are gonna be a team that is gonna be up there in the AFC this year. I actually think I know they beat the Chiefs on it's only one game. But I think they can win that division if the Chiefs don't. And the Raiders are good, but I don't think they're gonna be just ready for this type of matchup. Yeah, and then Two more things here before we move on. Quarterback to watch week 2. I'm going to put Russell Wilson on notice. I'm not saying to watch him because he's going to do great. I'm going to say to watch him because he can very easily be benched. I wouldn't expect him to be benched during the game, but I would also say it's worth keep note on him. Keep note on Russell Wilson because we don't know. They look so bad. If that happens again against the Cowboys, I don't think Dable is going to wait. Listen, Dable's job is on the line. If people want to say it isn't, they're wrong. I really think that they're not right. I think his job's on the line, and if he thinks that Dart's going to be the best chance at winning a game, he's going to put Dart in, even if Dart's not ready. If he thinks that he's the best chance, he's going to put him in, which people may not think that's the case, and it's tough to do to a rookie. But Dable has no ties to this organization after December. If he doesn't make the postseason, I expect him to be gone. Or even listen, if they won 7 games, I expect him to stay. But the way that first game looked, that looked like a team that is on a fast track to lose ton of games, a ton of games. They gotta wait they got to see. But yeah, QB to watch week 2, Russell Wilson. And then my fantasy guy, I'm going to say, so full send it with Travis Etienne. Tank Bigsby is now traded. This is somebody that kind of, he took over the running back room last year, which is a very odd the way it happened. But now new coaching staff, Liam Cohen, seems like he's all in on Travis Etienne. He had 16 carries, 143 yards. He had a few catches as well. He looked really, really good, did Etienne. And now Bigsby's gone, so the only guy is Tootin as the backup. But I expect Etienne to run the show for a while now. I think that's going to be. I think he's going to run with it for the rest of the year. And I would play him, especially if you. I'm pretty sure he's on a lot of teams, but if not, definitely scoop him up. If he's on your team, I would start him. I would expect him to be a top running back, and that was a question mark going into the season. But I think Liam Cohen answered a lot of questions. Before we move to college football, I'll do how you doing now. The Mets, I'll start with them. 76 and 68, so they're only 8 games over 500 at this point. They're 3 games up over the last team, the wild card. They're also losing again tonight, where it's 4-1 in the bottom of the 7th, so it looks like they're going to lose another game. Offense has hit a stalemate now. I don't understand what is going on with this team. It's so frustrating because they can do so well and they can also do so badly. And it's like you have faith in this team to do this, do that. They have a team that thinks that they looks like they can make the World Series, and in the next moment they can't do anything. Like I just don't. I really don't understand why this team goes through so many peaks and valleys, but it is what it is. But one thing I do have to say, so the rookies did pitch 3 games in a row. It was Tong, Sproat, and McLean. They lost all 3, but the rookies looked good. Tong he didn't look the greatest, but he still kept them in that game. He went 6 innings. Sproat looked good until his last inning. He kept them in the game. He went 6 innings, and McLean got into the 6th. He probably could have finished it. I just don't know why Mendoza was rushing to take him out, but they did lose that game as well. He only let up a run. So those 3 are, if you get to the postseason at this point, because Manaya, not good. Senga is down in the minors now. Peterson, he hasn't been great at all since August, and he's a guy you rely on. Clay Holmes, I expect him to fully go to the bullpen for the postseason. So if you have to take, I would expect McLean definitely to be in starting game 1 of the postseason if it can line up that way. And I would say the other 2 rookies have a shot at starting those other 2 games if they can pitch well or continue to pitch, good down the stretch. Because Tong's only had 2 starts and Sproul only had 1. But if they can keep that going, by the end of September, they'll have 4 or 5 starts under their belt as well. And that could be something where, you know what, we feel comfortable more with these guys. They're going to go deeper in the game. They're actually going to keep us in the game and not walk guys, give up home runs and stuff like that. Like Manaya, again, tonight, he only went 5 innings and he gave up 4 runs. It's not enough. It's not enough. And I know the postseason, you're not afraid to go to the bullpen quickly, but you want to have a respectable starter out there that's going to go out there and do something for you. And I don't think that just don't think that those other guys are going to get it done, and it's frustrating, but it is what it is at this point. The other thing we got here is the Jets. So I talked about this yesterday on the show when I did the Jets recap show. The Jets, listen, they're not a team. I'm not expecting them to do anything. I think people around, like football fans, are not expecting this team to do anything at all. But still, it's the way you lose that game and who it is against and all that stuff that comes with it. It was going to be a good game. Didn't people expect it to be low scoring? I think I did as well. But Jets went out there first possession, they scored. Steelers answered. They had a touchdown. Jets had a field goal, and the Jets left some opportunities out there. I think that 2 point conversion they went for was Glenn trying to be aggressive early, but I don't think that was the time and place for that. A missed extra point, yeah, because it was a flag, but then you still have that. It's a chip shot extra point at that point. Take the points. Then if you don't get it, which they didn't get it, now you're only up by two, and they were chasing those points throughout the entire game. Then they also went for two at another point later in the game, and they didn't get it as well. So that because they were trying to make it 32, from 32 to 34 to get up by three, they didn't get it. It was a stupid play anyway. I don't know why they even did that. And Wilson couldn't come away with the catch, and it screwed them. And that's something that, listen, I like the aggressiveness, but you gotta stay relaxed, and you gotta be okay. We're gonna be aggressive at times, which I like. Fourth down, things like that. But that moment, you just kick the extra point. It's the beginning of the game, first game of the season. You go from there. I'm not saying they lost because of that, but it was a part of it. Xavier Gibson should never do kick returns ever again. He cost them. He's probably reason number one as to why I would say up there as one of the main reasons why they lost that game. He took out the kickoff, fumbled it after the Steelers scored a touchdown. Steelers recover his fumble, and they score a touchdown 2 plays later. So the Steelers scored 14 points in literally a minute, or not even a minute. That was a turning point of the game. That game went from 26 to 17 to 31 to 26 in the snap of a finger. I said that yesterday, and you can't afford that. And the good teams don't make those mistakes. And if I'm Glenn, I'm not putting Gibson back there. I know Nwaganu got hurt, so they had to put somebody else in there. Put anybody else but Gibson in there. I don't know why they still even. He had one claim to fame punt return touchdown to win opening night 2 years ago, and they still rely on this guy. But he fumbles a lot. He does some bonehead things. He does some stupid things, and it's just I don't get it. I really do not understand what the problem is, and it's whatever at this point. But you gotta figure that out. You gotta say, okay, this guy screwed up. We're not putting him out there anymore. We're not doing it. I know it's only week one, but you gotta be able to set the standard nice and early, which I know is not something that the Jets are used to doing. But hopefully, Glenn changes the mindset a little bit, and then the defense. They got to pick it up. I said that yesterday. They got to figure that out. Stevens is going to be a problem. I don't care what they say. He's going to be an issue. He's going to be a big problem. Teams are going to see that on tape. Josh Allen's going to pick him apart this week. He's going to make sure of it. And that's the thing last year and the year before that. I think DJ Reed was here and Sauce locks down guys, but they would still test Sauce because they knew DJ Reed could be as tough as what Sauce was on the other side. Now they're not even going to try to test Sauce because they know Stevens is a joke. He was terrible. He was terrible the whole game. Missing tackles, falling on the ground, penalties, dropping interceptions. That interception was right in his hand. I don't know why he's falling on the floor for. I know he may have slipped or whatever, but you got to come away with that. He could have got up, ran that. He could have almost ran that in for a pick six, and that pretty much would have got that game to be over. And then he does that. So I really don't understand. And I said it yesterday. I'll say it again. Do not be reluctant to put him on the bench. Nothing is owed to him, and if he's not going to win games, you got to put him on the bench. I'm sorry, it's just not. It's not worth putting somebody out there that you know is going to cost you a game. It's just not worth it. So we'll see what the Jets do to adjust this week because they should have had that game. They outplayed the Steelers and lost. So this week is going to be even tougher against the Bills, and they can't afford to go 0-2 to start the year because I could say the most guaranteed loss of the season is going to be next week against the Bucks. I don't know why I feel that way, but I do. Week 3 against the Bucks on the road in Tampa, I just feel like that's the most guaranteed loss that's out there. So they gotta try to get a win this week, which they should have had in week 1. They gotta find a way. They gotta find a way to get a win this week against the Bills, who they have played good at home, but it's also a new coaching staff and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens. And then the last thing with the Jets was I like to give props to Ingstrin once again. Called a great game. Made sure his playmakers got the football. Garrett Wilson with those 7 catches, 95 yards, and a touchdown. Brees Hall with over 20 touches combined, a ton of scrimmage yards. That's what you do with your best players. You get them the ball in space, let them create their magic, and Fields as well. He had plenty of action going on with the rushing, the throwing, all that good stuff. So I think that stick to the game plan and they'll be just fine. The offense actually, I was gonna say, the offense actually impressed me so much that I actually have expectations for the offense now. Now you do that, I expect you to score points, which I know is not a good thing to say, but I do expect that to be the case now. And the defense got to figure it out. I think they will, but I think they just got to figure that out quickly because you don't want to lose games just because you guys are just fundamentally not locked in from start to finish. And then the next, actually, the last thing involving my teams is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, who listen, they had a bye week. They lost to Miami the week before that. We know that they got a tough game this week. Texas A&M's coming in. Last year they won at Kyle Field, and now it's a little bit different. The Mets are pretty much going to lose this game now as they're down 7-1. And the thing with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish is they have a winnable game and they have to get it because the rest of the schedule they can win those games, but you don't want to go 0-2 because that's very hard to come back from. You win this game, it's a ranked matchup, one of the three of the weekend. You win that one, then you can go on a roll after that. Then you play some winnable games, and then if you do have a tough game along the way, you can go out there and you learn from what you did in week one, but you cannot start at 0-2. That's very, 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 very difficult to come back from, and it is what it is. But we'll see what happens. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to, before we talk college, I just wanted to go through all of my teams. And the Jets got the Bills this week, and Mets just got to figure it out. They got to hold on to this wild card. They're losing again tonight, which sucks. But they gotta do it. They gotta come out. They gotta get to the playoffs, and they gotta go from there. Because you never know. Just like last year, they got in this last seed, and they made they did some they did some damage. So we'll see what they can do now, but it we'll see. We'll see what happens with these teams, and we'll go from there. But before we move on, I just want to see if Biggie is going to be making it on for college, and also his pick is very important as well. So I want to make sure because I'm 8-6 and he's 6-8 in the picks, and we're going to pick the Thursday night game this week. So we'll see what exactly um, what exactly is going to go on for this week. I'm just gonna text him. Who do you got for this week? Pick. Let's see. Oh, he's got the Packers. So okay, we'll do the pick 'em here now since he's not back just yet. So the let's see. Okay, so we'll do the pick 'em. So I'm at 8-6. Biggie's at 6-8. So the boys looking to bounce back after losing the Ravens game, which we should have won. I mean, that was a game that was right there for the taking, and unfortunately, that was not the case. The Packers came away with the Ravens lost that game. Bills came away with a huge win, and it is what it is. But we should have had it. That should have been a win for us. But this week we will be doing the Packers versus Commanders and Thursday night game. So Biggie has the Packers. I also have the Packers, so that'll be good that we're in agreement with each other again. Packers looked arguably the best team in the NFL. They looked fantastic from start to finish in that game. Offense looked good. Defense was great. Um, I don't think there's anything to really having complaints against. Commanders look good as well, but I think the Packers just look like a well-oiled machine, nice and early. And I think they're going to start out 2-0. I think that the Commanders are going to run into a buzzsaw, which I think a lot of teams will this year. I think the Packers are going to be that impressive against everybody. So we'll see. So yeah, we'll move into college football here as the last thing we got before we sign off, and that'll be and then that'll be it. So after benching Prime bench his top two quarterbacks against Delaware when that game was only 10-7 pretty much going into the third middle of the third quarter. Ryan Staub was inserted into the game, so he was the third string on game day last week. So he came away with 157 yards and 2 touchdowns, and now he's a starter. So he's going to be starting against Houston this week. So listen, Prime, he doesn't have Shador there anymore, who he relied on for 2 years. Now he doesn't have a particular quarterback right now. He's not afraid to move it around, and Staub will take over under center and be the guy for Colorado going into this week. Some other news: Arch Manning, I had a health speculation dismissed though by Coach Stark. So a lot of people were saying that there was a throw he made. He like winced a little bit, and it was a short throw, and people were speculating as like he had a arm problem, so a shoulder or something going on. And Coach Stark's like, "Oh, that's news to me. I don't think Arch anything is wrong with Arch. I think he just was upset he missed the throw and kind of was like that." Listen, it's not gonna, people are coming up with the things. He looked like he was a little. He looked like he was maybe battling something. Maybe that's the case. So we'll see. But he has not made some of those throws that he could make. I don't know why. Maybe it could be an injury, but we'll see. Week 2 of college football, though, Texas with Arch, they look really good. They beat San Jose State. Didn't start out great, but they were able to right the ship and they came away with a good win. And the top teams pretty much took care of business for the most part. Ohio State won 70-0, so they took care more than took care of business. Penn State won 34-0 over FIU. That was a game that was like 10-0 for a while in the first half, and then they were able to break away. LSU only won 23-7, but they did win and they looked good. Um, Probably would have wanted that to be a little more. They get the juices flowing a little more for LSU. Georgia won 28-6, so they look good. But the U Miami, they won 45-3. Oregon 69-3 against Oklahoma State. So Oklahoma State really they've gotten downhill. Texas 38-7, like I said. Clemson, they were down against Troy for a little bit in that game, a little bit like where you get a little nervous about it, and then they were able to come back. They won that game 27-16. South Carolina 38-10. The big loser of this week was Florida. Not the U. I'm sorry, the Gators. Florida Gators. They lost to USF 18-16. I mean, USF now, South Florida, they beat Boise, who was ranked at the time, and then they beat Florida. So they beat two ranked teams. Now they're in the rankings, which we'll get to shortly, but they came away with two W's over ranked teams, which is great for them. And Florida, man, they've run into a gauntlet now of who they're playing on the schedule. So they might be in a little bit of trouble before you know it. Florida State, they won. So they actually might be for real. They won 77-3. Oklahoma in the big matchup of the weekend, Oklahoma won 24-13. Seems like them getting a quarterback has made a John Mateer a difference in the world for Oklahoma. The defense very much improved. But you knew that was going to happen with Venables. He's a defensive guy. That's his DNA, and he got the defense to work. And then offense now looks like they actually have a functional offense, which they did not have last year at all, and that can make a big difference for a team. So Oklahoma beat Michigan in a nice little SEC Big Ten game, and then Iowa State beat Iowa, which is a rivalry game. Yes, they barely won that game though, 16-13. Iowa State already 3-0, but this is the worst they've looked so far. And then SMU, they lost as well. They lost 48-45 in double overtime. This is a team that made the playoff last year. They were very good, but the defense was always a question mark, and they had a big lead and they let that go pretty quickly. Pretty late, I should say, and they lost to Baylor. They had a two-score lead. And they let that one get away. Texas A&M, they won 44-22. So the teams I'm talking about right now are the teams that were ranked last week. This has changed. Ole Miss, they won 30-23 against Kentucky. This is a game they lost last year. Alabama, they took care of some of their angers. They won 73-0. Tennessee won 72-17. Indiana 56-9. Texas Tech 62-14, and Utah 63-9. To recap, the rankings as a whole. Syracuse, shout out Biggie. They won in actually regular overtime, 27-20. He unable to come on tonight, so that was the unfortunate thing because I wanted to hear what he had to say about him. He was at the game and all that good stuff. I wanted to hear about that, but it is what it is. He couldn't make it tonight. Colorado 131-10. That was a 10-7 game before they switched quarterbacks. Any local here, Rutgers 145-17. Trying to think of anything else. Bill Belichick got his first collegiate head coaching win, 20-3 over Charlotte. It still didn't look great, but they did win. Uh, I always talking about Nebraska. They won 68 to nothing over Akron. Yeah, it's pretty much it in terms of names and teams to talk about from week two. But let's preview week three on the schedule, where we got three ranked matchups and some other good games, but three ranked matchups. They got um uh my apologies. Tennessee versus Georgia. So Tennessee is hosting Georgia. That's going to be a big game to start off conference play for those guys. USF and Miami. So that's another Florida rivalry game, if you want to say, which people never probably even think it's a rivalry game. And now USF is in the rankings. Imagine if they can come away with a third ranked win to start off the season. That would be immaculate for them. But I don't think so. I don't think that's going to be the case this week. I think Miami is very good. And then Texas A&M against Notre Dame will be the other ranked matchup. That'll be a Saturday night under the lights game. But yeah, let's do the new top 25 rankings by AP poll. Let's see what we got. So Ohio State in in the same spot at number one. They didn't really do anything. I mean, they won 70-0 against a bad team. You're not going to move. Penn State at number two. They came away with a big win over FIU. LSU, another nice win for them. I mean, it wasn't really a good game, but they did win. They are 2-0 as well. Oregon moves to number four, so they moved up two spots. They took Georgia's spot. Miami stayed the same, so Miami's at number five. Georgia went from 4 to 6. They dropped two spots, like I just said. Texas at 1-1, they stayed the same. Notre Dame, despite not playing, did move up because Clemson looked so awful that they went down in the rankings. Illinois moved up two spots from 11 to 9, so they're at 9 now. Florida State went from 14 to 10, so they went up four spots. South Carolina went from 10 to 11. Clemson now at 12, they went from 8 to 12. Oklahoma now at 13 after their nice win over Michigan. They were at 18. Now 13, they're 2-0. Iowa State at number 14, they went up two spots. Even though it was a close win against Iowa, they did move up. Tennessee at 15, they went from 22 to 15 after a very large win. So now if they can beat Georgia, they're going to slide up there even more. 16, Texas A&M. After their win, they went up three spots. Ole Miss at 17, they went up three spots from 20 to now 17. South Florida went from unranked to number 18. Alabama, where it was 21, now they had a big win. Of course, you have to put Alabama up because they have to. They're at number 19, 1-1 record. And then Utah, number 20, they went up from 25 to 20. Texas Tech from 24 to 21. Indiana from 23 to 22. And Michigan now at 23 after being number 15. And then newly ranked teams here, we got Auburn and Missouri to round out the rankings. Both teams are at 2-0. So Arizona State was at 12. They dropped out of the rankings. Florida was at 13. They dropped out of the rankings. And SMU at 17. They have dropped out of the rankings. So three teams out, three new teams in, and some teams moving around. Teams that received votes, Arizona State did receive votes even though they dropped out of the rankings. BYU, Georgia Tech, Florida also received a ton of votes even though they dropped out. Um, USC, TCU, Mississippi State, Louisville, SMU, Nebraska, Tulane, Baylor, UNLV, Pitt, Navy, Vandy, and Memphis. So that'll do it for the AP Top 25. I'm sure we'll see some shakeup again as we have three matchups that include ranked teams, some other teams that are playing a little bit of a tougher test than they did last week, so maybe that can change some things around as well. But yeah, that'll pretty much do it for episode 64. Unfortunately, Biggie couldn't come on tonight. He had some other things to do, but it was still a really good episode. We'll be back next Tuesday night. Um, that'll do it for episode 64. Thanks for watching, everybody. Just go out there, follow Instagram, follow TikTok, like the YouTube page, comment on everything, share it, repost it, whatever you want to do. Thanks, guys, for watching. That'll do it.